What's going on, guys? Restart 34, and we're back again for another FRS update. It's been about a month since you seen me. In the last video I was telling you guys that I got some mods. I didn't do a formal video on the mods uninstalled, but I do have some photos that I will post in this video here, and I'll probably put them up as I explain them. Alright, so first things first, let's get down to what's been going on with the FRS. So far so good. I put some mileage on it. I think I put like maybe 2,000 miles on it, and everything's been pretty good with the car. I've been really happy. I think I've owned it now for like a month and a half, and no real complaints. Like I said in a previous video, I got the front end repainted and like that kind of all touched up and whatnot, and yeah, everything's pretty good. So let's get straight into mods. I have another set of BC Racing coilovers. They ride much better than they did on my white car, which is weird. I don't know if whoever I bought them from used was like a giant like stance boy or something like that, but they ride so good now. I was also really meticulous with setting my preload and doing all the other stuff. Like I did it a little different this time. Like I actually disassembled the whole thing, which I did last time, but this time when I was setting the preload, I had the bottoms off, so I measured from, once I did the 4 millimeters of adjustment, which is that you tighten it until it's snug with it by hand, then you tighten the wrench, and you create a gap between the locking collar and the regular, the bottom of the spring collar, I guess. And then once you can fit the bottom of the spanner, or the actual spanner wrench in between that gap, that's when you tighten it up. Well, I did that, and then I measured from the base of the locking collar all the way down to the bottom of the shock. So the bottom of the shock, and that exact measurement, I think it was like 100 millimeters or something like that. I replicated that on both sides. Like, so if the driver's side was 100 millimeters, I made the other, passenger side front coilover exactly the same. And then for the rears, I mimicked the same thing for each side, because the rear shocks are actually a lot longer. So I tried to keep it as close as possible to being equal. So that way, when you set your ride height is dead on exactly the same. Because if you set your preload and it's off a little bit on each side, then your measurement that you take for your ride height is going to be off, unless you want to put wheels on your car, let your suspension settle, and then take measurements via the actual like fender arch versus the ground height, which I recommend. If your shit's already set up, that's how you could adjust your height more. But still, being extremely OCD, I want to know that my preload is exactly the same and everything is all equal. So, and given that my ride height is dead on, but still, once everything settles and you have the car on the ground, you still want to take the measurement on a flat level surface from the top of the arch to the ground and kind of dial in a little bit more, So coilovers on, they ride like a spring and strut combo. It's so good. Before, it seemed like my old coilovers were a little bouncy. It was kind of strange. And I'll try to make this a quick video, so I won't ramble on. Okay, so coilovers are on. I did a full redline fluid swap again. The car shifts beautiful. The tranny feels great. Everything. I went with a Greddy oil filter, Greddy magnetic drain plug, OEM crush washers for the trans and diff, and all the fluid is beautiful. I also went with, I also installed a unequal length header from Open Flash Performance, the people that make the Open Flash tablet, and it is badass. It sounds beautiful. I kept the rest of the exhaust stock, and here's why. It's quiet as shit on idle. It sounds like stock at idle. Cold start's not too ridiculous, but then when you get up to like 3,000 or 4,000 RPMs, that's when you really hear that Subaru grumble, and it sounds nice and throaty with the rest of the exhaust nice and stock. It sounds like almost like a Porsche or something like that. I love it. It's perfect for daily driving. As you can hear right now, we're driving around. You can't hear my exhaust at all. It's beautiful. But if I roll down the windows and I give it some throttle, I can hear it. It sounds great. It's a good compromise. And plus, most of your power is gained from the header anyways, rather than the rest of the exhaust. So I'm super happy with that. I'm on stage 2 E85 unequal length tune right now. I might get a custom tune from him. Alright, moving on. Let's see what else. I have coilovers, header, fluids. Oh, I did my wheels and tires. My dream set of wheels and tires are on the car. It is unreal what a custom fitment looks like on this goddamn car. So I'm rocking a CCW wheel, complete custom wheel, LM20. It looks like the classics, but a little different, just a tiny bit different. And they're 18 by 9.5 all the way around with a 255/40, a nice meaty sidewall, because I like more of a functional fitment. Custom offset for the front and rear, the 2 different offsets. The fitment is just, it's like a hand-tailored suit versus like a one-size-fits-all. It fits so good. I'm running 1.5 degrees of camber up front and 2 degrees of camber in the rear. Minimal toe. I'm not really tracking the car. It's more just like for looks. I don't really care to have a mad camber and shit. McGuard spline drive lug nuts. They're really awesome. They're lug nuts that actually, the base stays stationary and the top spins. So that way the base, when you tighten them down, doesn't dig into the powder coating or the face of your wheel and fuck it up. So that's kind of cool. The wheels, they're a true 3-piece wheel. They have ARP studs all the way around. Gloss black lips, satin black faces. So it makes that lip look even deeper. The rear, since the rear is a different offset, even though they're the same width all the way around, the rear actually looks a lot wider. So it kind of gives that staggered appearance, even though they're all 9.5s all the way around. So I'm trying to think, what else did I do? Lower control arms again from SBC, tow rods again from SBC. I went with OEM gasket kit and everything from Open Flash Performance for the header. The power feels about the same as it did before the header, and let me explain why. The power, there's an increase, yes, but since I went with a bigger 18-inch wheel and tire, it's kind of a counterbalance thing. So yes, I went with a bigger wheel and tire, so therefore the car would have been slower if I didn't do the header. But since I did the header, the car feels power-wise the same as when I was on the regular header and the stock wheels and tires, which were smaller. But I'm really happy with it because I kept the same amount of power. I look fucking awesome now, and it's got that grumble. So that's pretty much it. I wanted to keep it nice and short for you. I'm gonna do a full nice like tour of the car because it looks super nice. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned. There's more mods to come. Who knows? Boost next year or some shit like that. So peace out, and thanks again.